Hey, thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon. Today, we're going to be dealing with a topic that people have been asking me to deal with for quite a while, and that is carbon credits. Because there's been a lot of talk as of late about carbon credits and how much of a game changer it could be for the economy of the Bahamas. And everyone from our prime minister on down is talking about creating this new way of offsetting all of the fallout from climate change and hurricanes and all that stuff, budget, etc., with carbon credits. So we're going to talk about that today with somebody who has been the sole voice in the wilderness crying out for years about this carbon credit thing when nobody was listening to him and was calling him crazy. And everybody said, oh, well, maybe this fella was onto something. But anyway, before we bring our guest into the studio, let me go ahead and tell you how you can be a part of the show today. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line for messages and calls. It's 801-0271, 801-0271. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show. We are also streaming live to YouTube and on Cable Bahamas Channel 974. You can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And last but by no means least, a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio, whether here in the province, Grand Bahama, the Family Islands, and all of you who are listening in from around the world. A huge welcome to you all. So, C. Alan Johnson is my guest today. We were also supposed to be joined by Joe Darville, but he has just informed me that he had an emergency situation come up that he has to deal with, and he's unable to join us anymore today. So it's just going to be C. Alan and I, and some of the videos and clips that I have pulled to help us break this thing down, because C. Alan ready to talk about people there. So I, I see his video is frozen, so I had to find some videos to try help to explain this thing in more detail. So while C. Alan is working on his video, because from my end at least, his video is frozen. I'm going to play a clip, and hopefully by the end of this clip, he will have worked out his internet connection issues. Yeah, he's just dropped off. Okay, so this clip that I'm about to play was produced by the Nature Conservancy, and it explains, for those of you who may not fully understand what this carbon credit thing is all about, this is an explanation that will help you to understand it. So let's begin with this, and hopefully by the time this clip is done, Seattle will be back on the show.
In our goal to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius, stronger action is needed. Our current commitments and actions to nationally determined contributions are not enough to limit global temperature rise. However, a powerful tool already exists in nature. Nature-based solutions are critical to human well-being and the stability of the Earth's climate and ecosystems, and the ocean plays an essential role. The ocean is our planet's largest carbon sink, yet faces unprecedented risks due to the increasing impacts of a changing climate. Coastal habitats, also known as blue carbon ecosystems, such as mangroves, salt marshes and seagrasses, are amongst the planet's most effective carbon stores. If protected from further degradation, blue carbon ecosystems sequester CO2 from the atmosphere and can keep it in their biomass and enrich organic soils for thousands of years. Countries must act now to implement and strengthen commitments to include blue carbon ecosystems in their NDCs and climate action plans, and commit to increase transparency for carbon accounting and implementation methods. Commit to incentivize conservation, protection and restoration. Reduce exploitation and improve sustainable coastal and marine ecosystem management. Yet we know that we cannot completely stop climate change as temperatures are increasing and sea levels are rising. 80% of people live within 100 kilometers of the ocean, and 3/4 of the world's megacities are by the sea. Protecting coastal ecosystems can be part of the solution. They absorb incoming wave energy, adapt to rising sea levels, and enhance food security in local communities, providing more resilience and often at lower costs than grey infrastructure. The opportunity is there for countries to create climate-smart marine protected areas, include community and local level participation in national adaptation planning, support climate-smart fisheries and small-scale fisheries with ecosystem adaptation management, and to protect and restore coastal ecosystems. We know developing coastal countries on the front lines of ocean and climate change will require increased international finance. Innovative financing, including blue bonds, carbon markets and insurance options, are available from several sources to help coastal nations and communities. The Nature Conservancy estimates upward of 85 countries could use such methods for marine protection. Supporting a sustainable ocean economy can be a source of inspiration to increase ambition and innovation to enhance climate action. A healthy ocean can be the vibrant foundation we need as we look to recover from the devastation of the global pandemic. But governments must undertake more ambitious methods and integrate oceans into their strategies to enable sustainable implementation and financing now. Visit natureforclimate.org/ocean-based solutions for the tools to employ ocean-based goals now.
It's back. See, Alan, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, you were the sole voice crying in the wilderness for quite some time here in the Bahamas about this mythical thing called carbon credits, because the way people responded to you, you'd swear this was a fairy tale. And for a very long time, they were saying that you were talking about your head.
Now, especially the figures.
Huh?
That's what they thought. When I was telling them about the figures, they thought that was the crazy thing. The numbers I was quoting.
Right. So now fast forward to 2023. And we're hearing something completely different, and from our government officials, no less. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's never too late for them to join us in the future. And I always say to them, welcome to the future. We have been expecting you.
All right. So what I want us to do in this show is I want us to break this down so that a 6-year-old can understand. Because, you like to talk over people's head. So I need us to make this plain and simple so everybody can understand what it is that we are talking about today. And I think that that clip that I played from the Nature Conservancy sort of sets the stage for helping to understand what it is that we're dealing with. Now, before we go any further, we need our audience to understand the depth of the wealth that we are sitting on, or should I say swimming over, when it comes to carbon credits and what the Bahamas has to offer. Before you explain that, I just want to use as an example. I was watching this program yesterday, and the lady was saying that, when one of her boys was a little boy, and at the stage where he was losing his teeth, they told him this old story about Tooth Fairy. He was all excited to lose his teeth because the Tooth Fairy was going to come and leave him money. And so when he finally fell asleep, the 6'4" Tooth Fairy that was laying next to her, who was her husband, went and snuck into the boy's room and put $5 under his pillow. The next day, the boy wake up all excited because the tooth fairy visited him overnight. And he runs into his parents' room and he says, look, 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 the tooth fairy was there and the tooth fairy left me $5. So the woman who was telling the story said she got a little annoyed at her husband because she knew when she was growing up, the tooth fairy only used to leave nickels and dimes. So, so she waited until the boy left the room and she looked at her husband, what did she say, $5? She said, her husband said, hold on, let me explain. Every birthday, the kids would get birthday cards from all these family members, and everybody would tuck one couple dollars in the birthday card, and they would put that money away in what they call the birthday drawer. What the father did was he went into the birthday drawer, pull out $5 from the birthday drawer, and put that under the child's pillow. Now the child don't know what the birthday drawer, right? They just decided as parents they could save whatever money these people give this child on his birthday. So the father goes into the birthday drawer, pull out the $5, put it under the boy pillow. The boy wake up the next morning. Oh, he's so excited because the tooth fairy visited him and gave him a whole $5. The father says to the wife, trust me, we ain't lose nothing. He just getting excited over something he didn't know he already had. How do you compare that story to what we're dealing with here in the Bahamas, Sea Island, when it comes to these carbon credits?
It's a very, very good analogy. It is something where for almost 2 decades, actually, where I came across the concept a little before I returned home to the Bahamas. And when I came home, we encountered some issues on Grand Bahama with the mining companies, more specifically Bahama Rock. And I was doing some research into this concept at the time, where they call it nascent, new concept. It was maybe a few decades old, concerning this concept of carbon credits. And the fact is that we were very vulnerable to, at the time, a concept that wasn't as, would you say, as today, as topical as it is today for climate change and how it's affecting the environment. But more specifically for me, it was also about affecting the fisheries. And so it's when I started doing some research, I began to realize about this carbon credits thing. Now, let me say this. I want Behemoths to understand carbon. We have been putting focus on the seagrass. But the seagrass is part of a compendium of things that is interrelated. The salt marshes, the mangroves, and the seagrasses. These are connected ecosystems. And so when I began to do some research, it started explaining. I began to understand the life that is of the sea. And it took me back to West End, where I grew up in some of my formative years, and how we had all of these seagrass offshore. But we used to find baby conchs and other type of fishes there in the environment of West End. When we went on these rafts and these boats that we borrowed from the neighbors without telling them and bring them back and tie them up to see these things. So my memory took me back to there. And I began to research some more and began to understand that these were a very integral part, not just of West End or in the area of Bahama Rock. We have a place in Freeport called Queens Coast that everybody knows about. It's a housing development that floods during the hurricane. But very next to there is an island called Kings Cove that is opposite Bahama Rock. And I noticed that in going and boating there with some fishermen, that we had the same seagrass that's there, and we had the same salt marshes, and the mangroves. And so I began to get very curious and began to do some research, and then I began to realize that this seagrass was a very integral part of who we are as behemoths. And so when I began in the fight with Bahama Rock, I began to let them know that they were destroying a three-phase ecological system, which was the seagrass, the mangroves, and the salt marshes. They were filling them in. The people were filling them in, and that these were worth monies. Even at the time back then, they projected that this would eventually be worth $20, etc. So when I began to look at the total acreage of the Bahamas, I then began to do a multiple and say very easily, this could cover almost every single island and keys in the Bahamas because we had a unique topographical type environment. Then, when I also came across some more research concerning Ocean Key, and people will hear when we start the aragonite arguments, that I found out that even the seagrass, when covered by or buried by aragonite, doesn't necessarily, that garden area doesn't die away. If you fast forward a little further to the future, when MSC took over Ocean Key to begin their restoration of the environment, they found out also that they could restore the seagrass by just removing or shifting the aragonite and other things that is there. So when I did the multiple, I did the multiple and said 50% of the Bahamas was covered by this, and we could get $20. And this brand new concept of carbon sequestering carbon was not mainstream as it is today. And I said to them that, well, we could be the voice into the market and begin to have environmentalists pay us, and we could actually begin to develop economic models. At the time, the trees were dying off in Grand Bahama, and I saw it as a funding for restoration of the trees, restoration of the mangrove that was being destroyed. So I began to make argument for let's move to this carbon credits, which is captured by the mangroves, which is captured by the seagrass, and which is captured by the salt marshes. When I did an assessment of the two major markets that I consider we have, I came up with a figure of $5 billion that is generated every single year of Grand Bahama, and $7 to $12 billion that is generated in Andres. Then I came across some research, and I'm pretty sure it was on the Nature Conservatory site, that gave an estimation at the time that carbon credits in the Bahamas was right around $20 billion.
Mhm.
And so I began to I married to the $12 billion plus that I knew for myself. And for 15 years, you could hear me, I have tapes of almost every radio show I appeared on. I call into radio stations and say, hey, we are ignoring $12 billion worth a year, which was greater than our national debt at the time, that we could claim. And I explained to them, carbon credits, sequester of carbon credits is the equivalent of going to work. If you don't go to work or you don't clock in, even though you're doing the work, you don't get paid for it. And I kept saying we need to begin to clock in into this environmental studies. Many of the people today that are the experts in government and some outside of government were people who rejected the concept that you could even sell these things.
Mm.
The even at the time, I've made arguments to the Ministry of Works when Mr. Philip Brave Davis was there, when Mr. Nico Grant was there, and other people around that was there saying we need to stop these destruction of these environment when we begin to do these marinas, and they would spread out. As you do the mining, it has an impact on the seagrass for maybe miles around it. And I made these arguments and these things about us building these almost unlimited marinas. And at the same time, I says that the economic benefit from the marinas is not as significant as we could get from preservation of the seagrass, which would also add value to the ocean life that we had. And people just said, there's no such thing as carbon credits. It's just fantasy in your head. Impossible to get $12 billion by doing nothing but registering your country. And right up until 2021, when maybe a little earlier, when people began to say 2020, maybe even earlier, people began to come across information. They began to repeat it, but no one could add a value to it. And so up uh, until the seagrass came up, no one believed it. They thought of it as a marketing ploy. And the information came up, some other information came up, and I know the people who say they put the shark, the noisome shark, and send them around the Bahamas, and those sharks were smart enough to navigate the whole Bahamas and measure and count the value of the seagrass. And in fact, the same people, if people go to KCX page, they can see where before they made the announcement, for months and things before they made the announcement, you can see KCX and I at Old Bahama Bay talking to the husband and wife team at that particular time. And we talked about the natural resources because KCX was an advocate. He was my adopted son in the environmental industry. And so KCX and I talk about the seagrasses and where they're located in the Bahamas and all these other different things to anyone who would listen to us. And lo and behold, about a year later, they said the same people we had met with said that they had trained the sharks to put cameras on it and swim around to the Bahamas, even though they didn't, they were not seagrass watchers, they were not this type of thing. Instantly, they became the go-to people for the discovery of the seagrass. But let me also say this: the seagrass measurements in the Bahamas also exist in other countries' registry. Because at one time during the 80s, before we had the technology, when we were had countries that was looking for places to designate as recovery purpose in case of an apocalypse, a war, something, the Bahamas was listed as in two major countries as listed as the Eden Project, and they made mention of the seagrass and our coppice, our mangroves, our sea marshes. They made mention also of our coral reefs as being and Andres with its fresh water as being part of this part of Penium of resources that we had in case there was an apocalypse. Remember, greenhouse farming had not matured, or agrotech had not matured to what it is right now. So even what Israel was doing and everything, it did not mature. So at that time, they was looking for where could you go and manually get information or get specimens, etc., or plant to stimulate a global economy. And the Bahamas was listed on that.
Okay, I want to break this down for people to understand what kind of figures we're talking about. According to an article published by the University of Michigan News, the Caribbean seagrasses provide services worth $255 billion annually. That's the entire Caribbean. $255 billion annually. The Bahamas holds 61% shares of the Caribbean's seagrass. So out of that 255 billion for the whole region, 61% of that sits in our waters. And this provides a total ecosystem service valued at $156 billion annually, including $54 billion in carbon storage. Now, this is according to an article written by the University of Michigan News by Eric Erickson, which was published on June 21, 2023. So clearly,
But Michelle, let me say that is carbon. Remember, that's seagrass alone. That
right,
doesn't count the other things.
right, right. Pastor Miles always used to say the Bahamas is where God lives. I am convinced that this nation is the most blessed nation in the world. I would dare say that we even rival Africa for the value of our natural resources. But like that little boy in that $5, we don't know what we sitting on top of. We just know, somebody giving us one little piece of the drawer, and we all excited because we get $5. But we already had it and just didn't know.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden we waking up to this knowledge. Our prime minister is traveling all over the world talking about the carbon credits and and how the Bahamas could benefit and how they need to pay us for all of the damage that these industrialized nations are creating with the environment that's leading to all these horrible hurricanes that are
But
impacting us.
but do you know when he's talking about that, he's not talking about the carbon credits. He's talking about loss and damages. He has yet to push the carbon credits in any substantive way internationally. He's saying they should pay us for L&D, loss and damage.
Well, I have a couple of clips that I've pulled from him, as well as the person that they have appointed to manage what will be carbon trading. That it's really a sector, I guess you'll call it, that we are trying to create because it's really not been done before at any meaningful level anywhere in the world. So the Bahamas has an opportunity to be the first to create the framework for this. During the show, I'm going to play several clips from the Prime Minister and others, including the person that the government has appointed as the manager of the carbon, what do you call it? The
carbon trading.
Carbon trading, yes. But first, we have to take this break. And we're going to hear from them, in their words, the value that we're sitting on top of. And then we obviously have to address the elephant in the room, because there's this whole question as to who will benefit most from all of this newfound wealth that we have. Whether or not it's just going to benefit a select few, or will the masses feel any of its effects? And if so, what would that look like for the everyday Bahamian? We're going to talk about all of that, but we have to take this break. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients. Plus, prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company along with my guest, C. Allen Johnson. Today we're talking about carbon credits. And we're going to try to break this down as much as possible so everyone can get a better understanding. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. That's 242-801-0271. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show. If you haven't already done so, let's get everybody in on this. And we're also streaming live to YouTube and on Cable Bahamas Channel 974. You can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio, whether it be here in New Providence, Grand Bahama, the Family Islands, and a special welcome to all of you who are tuned in from outside the country. Okay, I think we need to make this as understandable as possible. So and we are going to get to the clips from the Prime Minister and others who have been appointed by the government to talk about the value and what the Bahamas is now doing to really maximize the opportunities that are presented as a result. But I think it's important that we get people to understand what this carbon credit thing is all about. So there's a website called carboncredits.com, and it really helps to break it down so that you can understand more about how this whole carbon credit and carbon trading works. And according to the site, an introduction of carbon credits, offsets, and markets, it says the Kyoto Protocol of 1997 and the Paris Agreement of 2015 were international accords that laid out international CO2 emissions goals, with the latter ratified by all but 6 countries. They have given rise to the national emissions targets and regulations to back them. With these new regulations in force, the pressure on businesses, and by extension countries, my words, to find ways to reduce their carbon footprint is growing. Most of today's interim solutions involve the use of the carbon markets. What the carbon markets do is they turn CO2 emissions into a commodity by giving it a price. And these emissions fall into one of 2 categories: carbon credits or carbon offsets. And they can both be bought and sold on a carbon market. It's a simple idea that provides a market-based solution to a thorny problem. So that's a brief introduction.
Let me make just one slight adjustment to that. Even though it was adopted in 1997, it was introduced about 1992 or so. Now, I don't know the exact date, because I remember when I began my advocacy, the concept was about 10 years old, even though it was 5 to 6 years as part of a global adaptation. as something that had value. So I just want to take it back to 1992 to say the concept of carbon credits didn't come into existence because it was adopted,
Right.
but the individuals who was discussing it were discussing it the years before. But from a formal introduction into the global conversation concerning carbon emissions and the global warming conversation was closer to 92. Because again, at the time when I was looking at these values, I was doing some research, and like I said, it was in infancy. It was like no more than 10 years old. So I just want people to think it was adopted in '97 at that conference that these are means of reducing carbon, reducing or compensating for emissions that was being emitted. Just for that record there.
Okay, so keep it simple now. Explain the difference between carbon credits and carbon offsets.
Well, the easiest thing is carbon offset it could be considered a measurement of people who wants to carbon offsets could be a measurement of people who want to invest in these so-called green, ocean, blue type of environment. Where it could be, now you have technology. It could be natural or it could be mechanical, and it could be used to offset or eliminate the emissions that you actually produce. So what happens is you say, you're producing these carbon, these are the offsets now. You're producing these emissions from cruise ships or whatever industry you are. And the offsets is the means for them to measure the carbon you're producing versus the carbon that is taken out of the environment by natural sources or environment. Carbon credits, carbon credits is the measurement to cap emissions. Uh, they use interchange. They're used interchangeably, but it means permitted emissions. Like you say, every cruise ship is allowed to, over a year basis, to contribute 3 tons of emissions into the air, and that's where the carbon credit is. It's a cap and trade system, as some people call it, saying that you only allowed to emit this much, or every business has a carbon footprint. You're given a limit to what you can emit. And so what you have is also your credits that you're allowed to use to say, well, you told me I could emit 10 tons. I've only did 9, or I did 12. And so by the fact that you say you did 12, you went over, that is a measurement to say that you exceeded your permissible level by this 2,000. Then you could go to now you could go to the carbon market and say to people, look, I have this seagrass, or I have this garden, or I have this whatever measurement, I have this machine that actually removes carbon from the air, captured naturally or mechanically. And those offsets I can use. I captured 5,000. I combined with the 10 you allowed. I now have a total 15. I can now use those offsets to say these 5,000 will offset the 2,000 over I went over. And then I could also take those 3,000 that's left over from beyond my top and my mechanical or natural capture and sell those to somebody else who also went over their limits.
Okay.
Just kind of like one is a allowed limit, and the other is the capture of the carbon dioxide, even methane and other things that's put into the air.
Okay.
Offsets to capture carbon credits is the use of or cap or allowed limit.
Got it. But I'm just setting the stage before we dive into the numbers in the Bahamas, etc. specifically. But there are environmentalists who will argue that we really aren't making a dent in anything by doing so, because you are encouraging people to continue to pollute and feel good about themselves because they pay in you to not pollute.
Well, it's a form of greenwashing, and so essentially, or in essence, you're giving people consent by saying, like for us in the Bahamas, we said, oh, we could sell 80 billion, 90 billion. Let's add the three things together. We could have $100 billion worth of carbon offsets to be able to take to the market. But what it does mean is that then we are giving them permission not to curb their behavior, because
Right.
they simply say, look, we don't have to change anything. We could keep emitting as much as you want. It's kind of saying that someone is shooting at you and you are the manufacturer of the bullets they're shooting at you. And so instead of them stopping or shooting at you, you continuously say, no problem, you're running out of bullets. I have some more I can sell you. It's a crazy thing. And this is where, even for the conversation we're having in the Bahamas concerning these carbon offsets, as well as the carbon credits these companies and other things produce, and the fight for loss and damage is somewhat conflicting with each other. The loss and damage, for people who don't understand, is saying that these individuals are the ones who have damaged us by virtue of their behavior, and we are now seeking them to compensate us for the damage they've done. It's kind of like the what do you call it with the slavery reparations or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's this is environmental reparations we are seeking, but at the
Okay.
same time, we are wanting to enter the market to, imagine we are upset about we want reparations for slavery, but we are saying that we're selling children into slavery. It's a
Okay.
crazy. So
Okay.
there has to be a balance, and this is where the conversation has to go to. And I know a lot of behemoths. I see some people asking, "Well, how does behemoth benefit?" Well, I want to have that conversation, and we can talk about how it can really benefit behemoths, not from these promises that have been made in the marketplace through a real sovereign wealth fund. But the question I ask them is, do you even understand enough about the economics and the platform of this doing, where you're simply saying that the Bahamas is going to cease to exist by 2100, and you are selling consent for your extinction, while saying that, well, look at the economic benefits that you have, as opposed to adopting a position. I think it's possible for us, and everybody talks about this net zero. I do believe, as a technologist in this world, I do believe that we have the ability for the Bahamas to embrace something called absolute zero. And that's part of what's called an aquamarine economy that myself, as well as my wife, Eden Mary Johnson, has been advocating. And this absolute economy model can work because it is actually selling carbon offsets in a limited manner to those individuals who have been making measured progress towards solving their carbon emissions, as to those who simply want consent to continue polluting. But we
Okay.
don't have that conversation.
Okay. Now, before we continue, I need people to understand that it's not just big business or industrialized nations that contribute to this problem. Even individuals, human beings, just by the way we live our lives today,
We are
everybody has a right. We all have a carbon footprint. So let me show you some example. The average American, and I think by extension you could say Bahamian as well, but the average American generates 16 tons of CO2 per year through driving, shopping, using electricity and gas at home, and generally going through the motions of everyday life. To further put that emission into perspective, you would generate 1 ton of CO2 per day by, no, just 1 ton by driving your average 22 miles per gallon car from New York to Las Vegas. That's an American example. So just by jumping in your car and driving, in other words, we all have a carbon footprint.
We do in the Bahamas. Remember, I keep saying, making this statement that as the Bahamas, we are a carbon consumption taxation country. So you could very easily, if you just go down and say, okay, 12 tons per Bahamian, right? Because we are carbon-based consumption.
Mhm.
When we begin this, and this is where the being not being genuine in your conversation with our leadership running around the world, is we have yet to assess who we are and our carbon footprint on the world. And we always say is, oh, we could never produce as much as these other global countries. But if you're producing your measurement based on your weight, just because you have these carbon offset, doesn't give you the right to do it. So let's use an example. We also brag about our cruise industry, one of the nastiest, dirtiest carbon polluters in the world,
Mm.
and our shipping industry. All of these, what we do, has to be part of our carbon offset, carbon credit conversations. And so we could also look at what does individuals do. We have a bus system, and actually our transportation system in the Bahamas contributes significantly more than as much as those U.S. cities. Why? Because you could look at how long it takes cars to move on a 21/7 island, and the hours that individuals spend in their cars running and idling. So where's the strategy to move to a public transportation system that actually works? Not these hybrids and other things that the people talk about. We say we're going to go for a air registry. We have to embrace another strategy, considering that this is life or death for future behemoths. And so we just can't just simply have a conversation about, ooh, look how much money we can. And so, like you're saying, we're then saying we could slowly poison ourselves until we die, but we could actually benefit from helping the people producing the poison that's killing us. And so it's madness. And so and I'm we're gonna come back. I definitely want to take about 10 minutes or so to explain. And I hear a lot of people talking about this. Brave Davis took the carbon credits for himself personally, and these type of environment. It is it. And I don't know. I don't see the bill. I don't see the bill that they talk about. I know that he took control of it into the office of the prime minister. So whoever is prime minister will have that control. But if we want to talk about responsible uh, management of all of our assets, until we actually have a sovereign wealth fund, not the garbage that people even still reference to that we had in law, but a sovereign wealth fund that acts as a holding company. Let me explain what a sovereign wealth fund does.
Mm.
A sovereign wealth fund take all assets in the Bahamas, natural and otherwise, and known and unknown, seen and unseen, tangible and intangible, and put them into a holding company for the interests of Bahamians today and well into the future. Let me repeat: a sovereign wealth fund take all assets in the Bahamas. That include BTC, Alive, Rev, BPL, uh, statues, anything of value, all of our natural resources. You take all of them and you put them in this holding company. Let me give another analogy of that. You take you want $1 million, okay,
Mm.
and you say, what am I going to do with it? You take it and you put it in this account, and let's use a company we know about, Kalina, and you say, Kalina, I want you to hold this $1 million for me, okay? That's a sovereign wealth fund. They're holding the money for you in a secure place that you have access to it. Now let's have a further conversation. A sovereign wealth fund, and I maybe I was a little wrong and said I put it in Kalina. I put it in a bank account. A sovereign wealth fund, now that the money is sitting there, is looking. So everything is, all these assets are put in this holding company. No one has access to it. I said no individual behemoth have access to it. No prime minister, no one else. That sovereign wealth fund then begin to look for SAM. So you have a SWF that begin to look for SAM. SAM stands for Sovereign Asset Management Companies that specialize in very specifically things: oil, aragonite, sand they use, the shipping lanes, the intellectual properties, all of these hundreds of different things that we have. And we, like that $1 million, we say, okay, we give this company $100 million and said, manage this for us. But they
And go and make more money for
already,
us.
right. I want people around here talking. I hear this so-called leadership saying, oh, we should be getting 85%. Oh, we should be getting 50%. Oh, we should get whatever. I want you to understand this. Imagine that you just win $1 million and you take $500,000 of that to Kalina. You don't walk into Kalina and say, here's my $500,000. make sure I get back 85%. It's madness. What you say to Kalina is, here's my money, invest it so we could maximize the profits on it, and maybe they get 15% of the profits, but they never touch the value of what I already brought to them already. And so essentially, you take the carbon credits and say, this is what generally I can have. And if you could maximize this and get $100 for it or whatever, since I was already expecting 60 without your help, we will talk about how we will share the added value you put to it. And that's for everything. And so you don't lose anything towards what it is that you have. And so the problem is that we have people that have no understanding of the economics of global commerce and no understanding of the very thing, because again, the carbon credits may be as simple as we explain it, but it's also a technique and a process of entering these global markets. You don't walk into a strongman house and assert yourself in such a manner. And so even when you create your own, say, called carbon trading, as we talk about carbon today, there is a delicate balance of economics that must happen, because you could have the best product in the world, and if people refuse to buy it, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing to you. And so when we talk about reclaiming control of the carbon credits for benefits, because there's more than enough, and I'll put to you that the amount we talk about is 50 billion is closer to $100 billion, close to 100 billion. It's more like $2 billion per week in the carbon sequester business that we have in the Bahamas. When you combine the mangroves, the sea marshes, the coppice, the seagrass, and the other things that we have. And we have not even taken into consideration that aragonite happens to be carbon dioxide as part of it. The aragonite we produce in the Bahamas is also a sequestering type environment in the billions of tons we produce per year. We produce billions of tons of aragonite per year that is deposited into the Bahamian waters. And because we live on the top of a mountain, it rolls down into the seabed, deep into the ocean, that technology don't allow us access today. That too is carbon credits or carbon offsets that we talk about. So I just want people to understand is, yes, you have this euphoria about the carbon seagrass, but we must have a conversation in full context of what it is we have and how it could benefit Bahamians. And it doesn't benefit Bahamians by individuals saying they're going to give you some money. Mind you, I was in that position a few years ago as part of a group of us. But I'm not going to take time, but even though we said that Bahamians could benefit from at the time, what is called what's that thing with a basic income of as much as $52,000 per year. That was a conditional transfer of basic income, not the money given to you, all cash for you to run around the world and go shopping in cars and live this type of life. And that's, I'm saying to you, when we have this conversation, but we must get all of our assets, not just carbon credits, all of our assets must be taken into a sovereign wealth fund. But let me say this here, this part of this. We need not wait for somebody to get elected to demand and have a properly constructed sovereign wealth fund established. Because when you have a proper sovereign wealth fund established, no prime minister, no president or anything will be handing out any money to individuals, because she will have no influence over the sovereign wealth fund to mandate that the sovereign wealth fund give individuals cash basis.
Okay, I have a question for you. Based on the model that you just described, how does the average Bahamian benefit from that?
There you go. We recognize that we must strategically come back to the balance concerning our presenting ourselves in the world as serious contenders in a conversation in these economies. Let me name the economies for you. You have the Aquamarine economy. That will become a multi-trillion-dollar economy over the next 10 years. We have the green economy, about to become a multi-trillion-dollar economy. The blue economy, the ocean economy, the carbon economy, the climate economy, and let me see, that's 6 of them. Aquamarine economy, green economy, blue economy. Sorry, that should be good. Aquamarine economy, green economy, blue economy, ocean economy, carbon economy, and climate economy. Every single one of them is about to become a multi-trillion-dollar economy in the next 10 years. The Bahamas plays a role in each of those in its own respect. How does it benefit the humans? We must then look at the fact that the carbon credits means nothing to us if in 70 years we don't exist. It means nothing. So that means eventually, as global warming begins to increase, the value of what we produce becomes less. And the boundaries for which we produce them in also becomes less. Remember, your 12 miles from the furthest point in your country is what your exclusive economic, no, your territorial waters, and 200 miles is exclusive economic zone. So if you reduce and got rid of one island, say Mayaguana, we have reduced our total zone area. And so as we begin to experience global warming and the Bahamas begins to shrink and islands disappear, so will the area we could claim as our exclusive economic zone to get these carbon credits from. And some of them will die off. We're not doing anything to preserve it. So the priority is two things. We must move to use whatever monies we have for preserving the environment, preserving that which produces the value. Whether it be for research. So Bahamians get the benefit by being sent off to the universities and school to learn all of these different economies. But we also get at the same time to build infrastructural strength. We can now, with that type of money we're talking about, and believe it or not, $100 billion is not a lot of money when you're trying to build a country to fight against climate change. It's a lot of money for us to go to Miami shopping. But when we talk about building island resilience, you could find out that one island, like Grand Bahama, could run us $100 billion alone to preserve it. So it sounds like a lot of money in the instant, but what is the use of saying you go buy all these cars and Grand Bahama disappears or some other place disappears or the environment around Grand Bahama dies off? But again, let's go back now. There's still room in there because now we must seek to upgrade our education system. So we can now designate money. The Sovereign Wealth Fund does this, not government, to designate money to rebuild a plantation, 21st century education system. We can now build a 21st century, 22nd century health system. Remind you, the education system and the health system infrastructure is still also owned by the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They will build it, they will maintain it, and they would designate whatever funding goes for the teachers and other things for the maintenance of it. Then we could build infrastructure. Yeah, we talk about access to the 21st century, 6G networks, beyond 5G, but 6G, because 5G is, even though it's here, there's already movement to move up to seventh generation already. So we have infrastructure, and the only reason for that 5G network, it is not for ICT or the use of cellular. 5G, 6G is an infrastructural support system where cellular is but a fraction of what 5G is designated for. The problem is,
see, Alan, hold on. Because I know there's some people listening to this show right now, and they saying, see, Alan, you still ain't answering my question. Okay, hold on. Let me break it down. We get improved education. We get improved health care. We get improved technology. We improve resilience for the future survival of our islands. All that sounds well and good. But if the day I struggling to feed my children, you talking over my head. So how is this sovereign wealth fund, based on what you just described, going to impact me? I
was coming to that because it also builds a food security program, and it also built a food sovereignty program. Those are two different things. Food security is being able to feed your people for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. That's the context when you talk about food security. Not farming, not anything. When you're now talking about food sovereignty, you're now talking about producing that of which you require for food security as well as regular consumption. Well,
So you're saying that this will create a way for grocery prices to go way down.
All the way, right? The technology. We don't have to even invent new technology. We could go to Israel because money's not allowed to bust out.
You're saying that this will create a way so instead of our light bills going up, they go way down to almost nothing. You're
actually
saying
in the negative. You'll actually go to the negative.
I need you to break this down so people will understand how it benefits their everyday lives. Well, because that is the real. We have to take a break, and I want you to figure out how to say that in the simplest of ways on the other side of the break. But that is why there are certain persons who are pulling so many people towards them because they're giving these people hope that if this thing is properly structured, then I will see something real and tangible in my hand that will help to make my life easier. I can't eat improved roads. I can't. I'm just telling you what people think it. I'm not saying that it doesn't benefit the masses based on what you're describing, because you're talking about improving the quality of life and while decreasing the cost of living in our country for all, not just some, right? But there are people out there who want to know in a tangible way, how is this going to improve my life? We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break, because we also have to talk about what the government is proposing, that the government be responsible for the management of this, as opposed to what you just described. We have to talk about all that, but let's take this break, and then we're going to dive deeper into that, the Prime Minister's message around the world, what his technocrats are saying, etc., but on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company with my guest, C. Alan Johnson. We're talking carbon credits today. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line is 242-801-0271. 801-0271. They're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. If you haven't already done so, what are you waiting for? Like and share the show. We are also streaming live on YouTube on our official channels, and you can catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. And we'd like to invite you to download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And of course, a huge welcome to all of you tuned in by way of radio, whether it be from here in New Providence, Grand Bahama, across the family of islands, and anyone tuned in from outside the country. A huge welcome to you all. And welcome to all of you who will be tuning into the show later on, if you weren't able to do so while we're on live. Okay, so, see, Alan, briefly answer that question that I asked prior to the break, and then I want to go to the.
But before let me. I want to take some people. I want to take this 3 minutes very slowly. I want you to imagine that the Bahamas, as they say, is 5,358 square miles. That produces $100 billion of carbon credits, carbon offsets, whatever you want to call it, per year. So we're going to take it all and we're going to divide it between whatever the population is, 500,000, 400,000. We're going to divide it equally. Right. Everybody's going to live like kings. Mm-hmm. We'll do nothing about negating the impact of climate change on our country. So what happens is 1 year later, we have 70 square miles less. So when you take from the 70 square miles less of production, you just eliminated $1.3 billion from the 100 million. So now you're only getting, let's round off to $2 billion. Mm-hmm. So now you can only collect $98 billion per year because you have lost $2 billion of area due to climate change.
Right.
Next year, you can only get 96 billion because you're doing nothing to preserve or expand it. And so now you have another party. So half in 2050, you've lost 50% of the area that was producing the carbon credits for you. So you're no longer getting the $100 billion a year. You're only getting $50 billion a year. I'm saying if everything remained perfect, you're only getting $50 billion a year. And then another 25-year pass, you're only getting $25 billion a year. If everything remained perfect, that's if you're now living in boats, anchored to the seabed, because the islands are all covered with water. Because they said that by 2100 we could be gone. 50% of it could be gone by 2050 if we do nothing. So what happens is in 77 years, the $100 billion a year that you were partying local, I guess you will simply say, we'll just move to another country, another world, and become climate refugees. Just we're going to be some rich climate refugees. It's the most asinine concept I ever heard, and where we say we're going to just go use the money to have one giant party as opposed to observing the farm that produces the value. And I'm saying to you is you don't take $1 billion and fix no island. We're talking about multiple billions of dollars a year because we have to catch up in preserving the island. So I'm saying to you, the Sovereign Wealth Fund goal is to reduce the cost of living so you have no light bill, no internet service, world-class education to anywhere in the world you want, healthcare. If you can't be taken care of here, we'll send you someplace else to do it. We'll take care of you. We provide you with all the comforts of your life. We provide you because we're going to move to protect 85% or more of our land as part of the sovereign trust, sovereign wealth fund, so that we can have affordable housing for Bahamians forever. Singapore owns 80% of the people, own 85% of the land there. In fact, in Singapore and other developed countries, when you build above the second floor, they consider the space on the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh floor as you have to rent that. Just like how you have to buy land on the ground, you have to buy land in the air. So when you build those towers, you are leasing the land, the space above the land. So there's monies to be made, and we have a real conversation on how do you generate wealth to be sustained rather than diminishing value, about dividing it equally amongst Bahamians so they can go to Miami to buy the things they go for free. So I say to you, I'm going to give you $100,000. I'm going to give you $50,000, but I'm going to hit you with a $2,000 a month light bill. I'm going to hit you with some health care that you have to go pay $1 million because you live in so this singular conversation out of the context of how sovereign wealth fund works and how equity in the country happens is garbage. So if we actually use the rule that everybody's talking about, then we should divide equally the healthcare. Okay, everybody, you got $1 million for your healthcare, and if your bill comes to 1.5 million, too bad, you done got your share. They have an inequality argument. We need an equity conversation when you come to a sovereign wealth fund. You're building a country that lasts for hundreds of years, not for the partying of now. And so this is why when I hear these conversations, these political conversations, we need to understand that every single year, the Bahamas is losing 1.3 miles of our space. We have to look at this. We produce aragonite. Do you know that you can expand the territories of the Bahamas by going to its outer banks and finding shallow places in our ocean and building another island just like we did for Ocean Key? And when you build, do you know when you build an island at the top, let's say we go to the top part of the plateau of our past Grand Bahama, and we build an island that can sustain a person living on it for 6 months or a year. Go to my pages, my YouTube channel, and go to my social media pages and look for this program called Ocean Monopoly to understand that the world is after not just our carbon credits. More importantly, they're after our ocean. Because if I own your ocean, I own your carbon credits. So you have to move to protect that. It costs money to protect that. But let's say you build this island north of Grand Bahama, right to the very edge of our territorial waters. Guess what happens when you build an island there, just like Ocean Key right now, the island MSC is using. Do you know once you build that island, your borders is no longer at the end of the 12 miles you build the island. You just extended the Bahamas territory an additional 12 miles. And then we have now extended it 200 miles from that island. So you have to have conversation. How do we build and fortify the Bahamas utilizing these resources? And so this is not a money giveaway for people. What I'm saying to you is, if you have no light bill, if you have no medical bill, you have housing that maybe costs you $500 a month, you have public transportation that's free, and all of these different things. What is it again you say you want money for? Because you want to buy things, maybe some bling bling and some whatever. So you want to die looking good. You don't want to preserve the Bahamas for generations to come. So we have 700 islands and keys. Every time we lose an outer island, we lose the area that produces the money you want to share.
Okay, let me read one of the comments because a lot of people got some serious problems with what you're saying right now. Dwayne says, Sea Island. No, that's not the one. Where did it go? Okay, these are moving pretty fast. It says, Jeffrey says, y'all only want to not give Bahamians nothing. We don't need y'all to tell us how to spend our money.
What money is yours? See, this is the part they miss. See, again, we've had political parties dumbing down our people. In fact, I put to you, in a real one-to-one conversation, those individuals that we have in the marketplace talking now about the carbon credits, you can't, you know what? I'm looking at the list right now. I have 128 possible carbon credits. Under carbon credits, I mean natural resources. Warren Miller in the House of Assembly named about 25 of them or so as part of his speech, right? You have to then ask yourself, can these people tell you anything beyond what they heard in the public domain? How do you manage what you can't measure? How do you manage what you can't explain? All you're doing is repeating. See, I told you also. You didn't say anything. You change your conversation based on the carbon. See, Bahamians, please, let's have an honest, open conversation on how Bahamians could benefit. And I want those people to tell me, what is it exactly you say you need the money for? Your light bill? Transportation? Education?
The man say don't tell him how to spend his money. That's his money. What do you want to do with it?
But I'm saying to you, I asked him, how asinine, emphasis, ASS, small I-N-E, is it that you say, I have this plot of land, right? 5,000, let's don't use miles because that might be too much for them. 5,300 acres. And every year, if I don't protect the land, I lose 2 feet. It's saying 77 years, I will have nothing. If you're producing per square area, every time you lose 2 feet, you lose the production value of that. But when you look at the science, when you have global warming and bleaching of the coral and covering off the thing, you may lose way more than that because when you bring the poison to the borderline, it starts killing inward.
Okay.
I just want to say, wouldn't you think the first thing you would do is to preserve that which creates the money as opposed to buying you some new clothes? But at the same time, we say to you, you don't have a light bill, you don't have a medical bill, you don't have an education bill, and you are now being taught how to preserve that which creates the wealth for you. And it's not about you, it is about us. Okay? We are collective, not individually. You don't own nothing individually. You don't own no sovereign fund individually. It's what is best for the collective. None of you own no one share in no sovereign wealth fund. Stop letting people sell you that. Okay? You don't have no right to say you get no cash. You got sovereign wealth fund right now with trillions of dollars of it in it. They have disbursements to their people only because they have reached a goal for decades of working towards developing what it is. But guess what they did? They developed their country first, not people, because you are only a Bahamian because the Bahamas exists. When the Bahamas cease to exist, you are not a Bahamian. I don't care where you go, you exist. You are a Bahamian because there's a country that you claim you belong to called the Bahamas. And I'm saying to you, let's stop dumbing down this conversation from our current government or from anybody seeking to be government. And it's all lies I'm telling you.
But let me ask you this question, because now we're talking, and I'm going to play a clip in a second, about an evaluation of trillions of dollars, right? You're trying to tell me, and I think this is where these people are going with their line of questioning, even though they ain't really quite putting it in a very diplomatic way. Well, I think what some people have a problem with is hearing this. Okay, let's say we take half of the money
and give it to the people.
And do all these things that you say need to be done, which I totally agree with.
Okay, half.
We need better education. We need better health care. We need to protect our islands. You trying to tell me out of trillions of dollars,
yes,
there is nothing in there that can be ejected directly to the people, not for them to go party with, but to empower some of them. Now, some go and party it.
No, but you know why? No, yes, I'm saying to you. Listen to me. There is trillions of dollars of resources. That's the future. Let's talk about yearly. See, we have a total value, but you have a yearly commercial value. You may have a fruit like Rodney McCaw say, I got a mango tree. They come and assess the mango tree. On the day they assess the mango tree, it has no mangoes on it. They say, when this mango tree begin to produce, it'll last for 30 years of production. It now has a value of, let's say, $30 million from fruit production. You don't go to market and say, I want some sucker to pay me $30 million with no guarantee that this tree will be here for the 30 years of its life. So we counting future money. We're saying we have to look at the productive value on a yearly basis of what we can obtain based by what the market could absorb. These are economic conversation beyond the fantasy that you're going to get something. I ask people though, how, because now you have this mango tree based on this mass producing, and the guy says to you, every year, if you don't spend this amount of money to preserve your mango tree, in fact, the mango tree has value of 30 million, and he says, by the way, you're gonna have to spend 20 million to preserve it, but you don't get $20 million in the first instant. So you're gonna say, you know what, it's cool. I'm not gonna try to maximize the preservation of what I have. I need to buy me some cars and jewelry, so I'm only gonna save, put this amount of money towards it. But while you're doing that, you just lost 2 branches on the tree. Remember, it had a total value of 30 million? Because you lost the 2 branches on the tree, it now only worth 28. The next year, you do nothing to preserve the tree because you say, I only can do half of the repairs. They sound like the same people who run our schools, who run our government buildings, who do patchwork to the government buildings, and the value keep devaluing. Your goal is to first preserve it for all, not for you. And this concept that you own a sovereign wealth fund and that you own some asset, it is owned as a collective. And what is necessary to be done is for the benefit of all, not for you personally. And when you begin to examine this concept of giving money and whatever, we can establish a basic income. Yes, we can. But it's not going to be no 100,000, no 200,000, no 50,000. It'll be based on the needs for an ordinary person living in a country. And if you now have zero energy bill, like you have countries have negative, they actually pay you to use energy. You now have no medical bills, no educational bills. Your housing is reduced to almost zero. Food is being produced in so much abundance that you're shipping it out to the other countries because you're using the technology. I keep asking people, you could only want things to dress up in, because it's not none of the necessities for your life. It's not none of the necessities for a strong, vibrant, healthy life. All of that's taken care of. It's like
but you may have some behemoths out there. We have some behemoths out there right now who have great ideas that they want to establish businesses, but can't because they don't have access to capital, and they are, held back as a result.
But no, they're not help. See, understand this, right? You know that I'm going to start a podcast on this, and this is why 90-something% of businesses in the Bahamas fail. An idea is not a business. The first thing before you have a business, before you even start a business, you must establish one thing, and 90% of people can't tell you this. You must have customers. Cannibalizing within the country is garbage. You open another here place, another this place. You need to have business. You need to be taught how to have business in the global space. Because you have access to the resources, we're not going to tell you that we're going to give you $1 million and everybody's going to get their loans approved and you're going to go in ways. Because 90% of businesses will fail because they don't have customers. The first thing you find before you start a business is customers. Then you develop the plan on how to deliver their needs. So again, this is where education comes in. And part of that education is business development. But it's not just for business where you're going to compete against behemoths in the Bahamas. We are now going to compete from the global standpoint because we will have the ability to hire some of the best minds. What we lack, we will buy. But it'll be more so for the collective. But you now have no bills. You could almost start a tuck shop in some other country because we're going to teach you how to go start a tuck shop in another third world country or whatever, and you could make your money. That's part of the education, empowering people. But see, the first thing is this. You must empower the people. Educated people don't demand empowerment, Empowered people demand better education. That's the problem. We don't, in context. And so what we have to do is seek to empower our people. The first thing is intellectually. because that's something they can't take from you. And you don't empower people intellectually by feeding garbage and fantasies into their existence when the global economy does not work like that. And I say, bring your leaders. Let's have an open conversation to see how much they know about running a shop, not less a country. The reason we are where we are is because of we keep electing people that tells us sound, good, mind screw, okay? Instead of the ability to grow and build economy and our natural resources, which goes beyond the carbon credits.
Okay,
Is
we have a call. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Michelle. Good afternoon, Jesse Allen.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, Michelle, what I would like to say, while I appreciate what C. Allen is saying, there's a saying that there is more than one way to skin the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the other way.
There's more than one way to skin the cat.
That's a statement. Okay. Tell me the other way.
C. Allen, let him get his question out. Go ahead, okay. Caller.
And the reason why I say that, right, I hear you alluding to it's asinine and all that for when you talk about monies being directly.
No, I didn't say that. Oh, no, please, don't misquote.
C. Allen, let him ask the question, okay. Then you can make the corrections. Go ahead,
okay.
Caller.
Now, to me, it sounds like you are no different than Philip Brave Davis, who doesn't want the monies to go into Bahamian hands. You pretty it up. You make it sound intelligent, but you're alluding to the same thing that he is saying, that it does not go directly into Bahamian hands. Okay? And I'm saying to you, C. Allen, that it is very well possible for monies to be deposited in the Bahamian hands, not for electricity payment, not for bills, but to empower Bahamians to own something in the tourism industry instead of being plantation workers. It can empower Bahamians to own their own hotels. It can empower Bahamians to get together and diversify this economy. Okay? Now, you are not the only intelligent person in the room, even though you're acting like it. Okay? And I said to you again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, Michelle, first of all, I said it's asinine to destroy that which produces the income for you. It is. You have to be in a class of insane to destroy that which produces the income. And let me ask you a question. If the Sovereign Wealth Fund, who understands the value of the tourism industry, owns the tourism industry, are you going to enter the tourism industry to compete against yourself? If we own the 100,000, the Sovereign Wealth Fund develops a tourism product so that the Sovereign Wealth Fund, as part of a generative income process, owns 100,000 rooms, 50,000 of the best rooms there is. Listen to me now. The Sovereign Wealth Fund just built a room for $500,000, and you said must give you $100,000 so you could go build a room to compete with the $500,000 room that they're renting for far less than what you could. See, this is where I say to you is that we must educate people of what empowerment means. It's not about you. If you want to own a hotel, then we could arrange for you as part, and this is why when you say we're Brave Davis, we don't want 5-year celebrities managing no Sovereign Wealth Fund or directing how Sovereign Wealth Fund monies goes. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is a living entity that makes the decision based on what the collective needs, not what the individual needs. There's the individual need, that's where we are.
We have a call on the line, but a call I come to you right now. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, C. Allen, is that there are countries that have very successful sovereign wealth funds. So the country that is considered to have the most successful sovereign wealth fund is Norway. And we're going to talk about what they do with theirs. But we have a call on the line. Call, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Lady Malcolm. Good afternoon, C. Allen.
Good afternoon, sir.
When I try to tell C. Allen, listen, you got to learn to put things in a nutshell, because by the time as you didn't explain for an hour and a half what you're trying to explain, I done lost the first 2 items what you give me. I wasn't never saying, see, Alan, that you don't know, you know, you do. But we got to put back on the throttles so that the average person out there trying to listen to you can grasp it. You can't just take the whole bucket of ice cream and throw it on the person to eat it and you get it. You can make a mess out of it. You need to pull back on the throttle, see, Alan. That's all I'm telling you. Thank
All
you,
right,
thank you very
caller.
much.
Thank you, caller.
But Michelle, let me say this to him. This is why we have to have more conversation. This is an introduction, not a
Yeah,
lesson.
I think we need to do a
No,
series on
no,
this. Sorry.
I'm saying to you because if you believe listening to the talk show is an education for you, it's a thing to give you an awareness. The education comes afterwards. And so when you hear somebody running on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, try to say, good, there must be more for me now to seek out. If you're depending on a talk show to give you information, even with my knowledge and access to data, it's still limited. But I understand enough to know when somebody's blowing smoke up me and I feel it tingling and say, I understand that. I also understand when you're not telling the truth. And all I'm saying is that the concept we have is wrong. And I don't want you to say there is more than a single ways. Tell us the ways. I'm presenting mine and I'm inviting contrasting point of views. Don't say there got to be another way. I say to you, what is the other way? Don't tell me what you feel. Don't tell me what you think. Don't tell me what you're told. Please tell me what you know. And I'm saying to you, this is just general economics where I'm giving to you, where you go right now to Norway. Everybody admire Norway, but nobody wants to talk about how Norway grew the tree. They're saying, look at all the mangoes Norwegians are allowed to pick. Look at all of the mangoes they have preserved for Norwegians. My question to you, can you explain to me how it started and how Norway got to where it is today? Norway did not wake up $1 trillion fund. It did not. It moved to build, invest, and build an environment for its citizens, not an individual, not personally, Norwegians for decades. Supposed to be got no dividends that we're talking about. So what we're saying is, we found the golden eggs. Let's cut it open and enjoy some eggs for everybody. It's garbage. What I'm saying to you, there is a process, and it's about making life better for you and superior for your future generations. And so if you believe that you could take $100 billion and restore even one island, you don't have no concept of what global warming and climate change is, the very thing in the business you say you're going in. You're actually getting the $100 million, giving consent for people to destroy the environment for which you're selling to them. It's madness. There's also some other natural resources. Let's use the caves, the blue holes, the crystal caves in the Bahamas. National Geographic says when they try to measure the value, there was no scale. They ran out of numbers for its value. Go Google it. Not me. That's National Geographic. The blue holes have historical value also in the trillions of dollars. But you don't dig up history and say you're going to sell history. It has a value, but you have to learn how to exploit that value without diminishing the value. Let's go down in the blue hole, find an alligator that's from 100,000 years ago, and let's sell it and divide the money up between all behemoths. Doesn't it make sense to find out how we can exploit this for the long-term development of behemoths? And guess what? If you keep selling carbon credits and do nothing to preserve the Bahamas, there will be no blue holes. Because the minute the Bahamas becomes underwater, it becomes part of the ocean that is shared by all the countries. Understand this, behemoths. By 2100, if everything is correct, if the science they're saying is correct, the very science you're using to sell your carbon credits, you will not exist. It is now 2023. Every single one of us alive that is less than 60 years old will most likely be alive to see 50% of the Bahamas disappear if we do nothing. When 50% of the Bahamas disappear, 70% of your $100 billion disappears. Do you see that?
Okay.
So
All
in 27 years, you will have nothing.
Okay.
So it's madness. Tell that to your children who aren't born yet. Tell that to the 1-year-old that you want your money now, and they will have nothing in 25 years.
All right. We're going to take a break. On the other side of the break, I want to bring in this conversation that the Prime Minister has been taking around the world about uh, the Bahamas taking advantage of uh, the carbon credit system and what that can mean for us as a nation. We're going to talk about the value that they are now saying our carbon credits have and more. That coming up on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Global paradigm shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our number one priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat US addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here with C. Alan Johnson. We're talking about carbon credits, and clearly we have to make this a series because we have just scratched the surface. Now, for the record, There were three other persons who I had approached about coming on today's show. Joe Darville did say he would be able to make it, but he had an emergency situation that came up and couldn't make it anymore. And there are two other persons that I invited who were unable to make it today, but have said that in the future, if we're going to have this conversation again, to please, call them and see if we can get them on. Because obviously, this is something that I think we need to have a series of shows on to help people to fully understand what is happening here. But I want to play a clip from the Prime Minister.
Just let me clarify one thing, Michelle. Yes, what we did, we moved into the problem is that we didn't just talk about the resources and what the value is. We move into the management of the resources, which bring the sovereign wealth fund, which has been taken out of context in the country. I think we need an education system to what the context with the sovereign wealth fund is, because people keep looking at the end result of other people's sovereign wealth fund. It's like you go and you see a 40-story building and a magnificent building, and nobody seeing the building, the process. And so, if you have, I just want people to understand, if you have a business and you take every dime out, or just use another example, you have a bucket. They said we have 5,500. This bucket can hold 5,500 ounces, and it says that every day you're losing 2 ounces. Do you simply say, let me enjoy my water, or do you try to stop losing the 2 ounces? Because the money is made from the water in the bucket. So every time you lose 2 ounces, you have 2 ounces less to make money from. So that means you have a diminishing value. And this is what national development is. Nobody owns a sovereign wealth fund individually. Whatever is done for the benefit of the collective. If it benefits you, then we would do it as a collective, not as you.
Now, one of the problems that many people have is the structure that is being presented by the Davis administration.
Right. But I'm saying, go ahead. Let me take, because it goes back. I don't know if you'll play the debate, but what I'm saying to you is what he has is wrong also. That is not a stop.
Let us play the clip from when he tabled the bill that deals with all of this. This would have been tabled back in April of 2022, I believe it was. And here's what the Prime Minister had to say in the House of Assembly at the time.
The PM continuing to make the case for tapping into the carbon credits market as a way to effectively fight climate change. Put simply, the Prime Minister says the bill seeks to make a way for the Bahamas to participate in the global response to climate change in ways which will be financially, practically, and environmentally beneficial.
As the world moves forward to address the causes of climate change, we intend to play an active and powerful role in charting the way forward. Madam Speaker, this climate change carbon initiatives bill that I intend to lay seeks to participate in the global response to the threat of climate change.
Prime Minister Davis made the comments in Parliament just moments before tabling the Climate Change and Carbon Market Initiatives Bill 2022. This bill, if passed, would empower the Prime Minister to create and implement initiatives and incentives to comply with the Paris Agreement. It would also enable the government to create incentives and implement initiatives to support the overall global target of greenhouse gas emissions, ensure compliance, as well as enable the establishment of a market in the Bahamas to trade in carbon credits. It would also allow for the appointments of a management company and advisory council, which would serve as a technical advisory body to a management company, as well as the establishment of the National Emissions Registry and the appointment of a registrar.
Carbon markets set a price for a unit of carbon dioxide, which can then be traded between a buyer and seller.
Responding to climate change has been at the top of the Davis administration's agenda. Last year at COP26, Davis called on world leaders to act in the fight on climate change.
Our administration has not been content to sit on the global sidelines, leaving our fate in the hands of others. My government will continue to make the case for urgent action.
In addition to tabling the climate change bill, Davis also tabled a policy white paper on the future of digital assets in the Bahamas. That document outlines a framework to guide digital asset policy in the country.
All right, before you respond to what he is saying, and this is why a lot of people have a problem because they don't trust the government to talk for their mileage in this. But before you respond, we have a cell phone call on the line. Let's go to the caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, Miss Malcolm. How you doing this evening, this
Good,
afternoon,
thank you. Good, thank you.
and to your guests as well?
Yeah, go ahead, sir, because we're running out
I'm
of time, so
calling
just
from
go ahead.
Bradenton, Florida. But I
Okay.
hear Mr. Allen saying about the fact that they wants to just like take care of the Bahamian people. No, we don't need you to take care of us. Give us our money. You don't know. You thinking that the Bahamian want to spend money on clothes? You don't know the needs of the Bahamian people. All that is oppressive words and stuff that's coming out of y'all mouth. Before the election, y'all saying that Lincoln Bain was selling dreams. Now y'all want to steal the dreams and pretend as if it's just like. Listen, we know the plane has landed, and we know better. Y'all can't fool us. We're not our grandparents or our grandparents' parents. This is a different generation that's awoke.
Before you hang up, sir,
So so all that what you saying, we not feeling that at all.
Okay, yes, sir. What I want you to do, I want you to call Lincoln Bain. This number is available, and tell Lincoln Bain to say what I'm saying. Tell Lincoln Bain to say what I'm saying is garbage.
Man, listen, Lincoln Bain show that he's showing.
No, sir.
No vision for this country. Y'all was taking care of this country for as long as y'all did, and y'all did nothing.
Who's y'all?
Lincoln Bain opened the eyes of the Bahamian people. That's what he's doing. That's what he been doing from since he came around. And I love that about him. I love that he's fighting for Bahamians, organic Bahamians.
No,
I'm not selling this country out to like what y'all been doing, the FNM and the PLP for the past 50 years.
Sir, the word is native Bahamian. There's no such thing as organic Bahamians. We need to stop that bull. Okay? You can't
organic Bahamians. Don't tell me what I need to do. What y'all need to do was take care of the Bahamas out when y'all was in power. We don't want y'all there anymore.
Let me ask you a question.
Y'all already stole enough. We don't need y'all in our government. All of y'all.
I don't want to argue, sir. I have one question for you, sir.
Leadership and vision for our country. Y'all don't have any vision for this country. The only vision y'all have is the vision for your pockets.
Tell your leadership. No, but sir, let me ask you a question. No, I want to ask that. If there's no Bahamas, what will you be calling yourself?
Man, y'all trying to give it to the Haitians anyway. So what you talking about?
No, I didn't actually see that. There is called a formal fallacy, illogical. That's called a logical fallacy. I ask you very specific questions. A very specific question. If there's no Bahamas, what will you call yourself?
Okay. Well, y'all was in government.
No, sir.
Right? What was you doing to preserve the Bahamas?
I am speaking about preserving the Bahamas using our natural resources.
I'm asking you, what did you do when you was in government to preserve the Bahamas?
I've never been in
government. Double talking, question me.
Sir,
You're
hold
on
on, sir.
take questions,
Hold
right?
on, sir.
So
Hold on, Cialan. Hold on, Cialan.
Let me answer him. So
hold on, Cialan. Sir,
you don't question me. I'm questioning you. You want to be in the government, right? You want to control.
Caller, take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. You were saying that. You were saying what?
Don't double talk.
Caller, you were saying what did Cialan do? You were saying what did Cialan do when they were in power? To my knowledge, Cialan has never been in power. That's the first thing.
But let me answer what I did. What I've done, if I spent 20 years educating you about carbon credits, I've spent 20 years educating you about blue holes. I've spent 2 decades of being
No. When did you educate us about carbon? I never heard nothing about carbon credits until I heard it come out of Lincoln being mouth.
Okay, sir.
Hold on, Cialan.
Let me do my argument. Let me ask him a question. Sir, have you heard about stromatolites?
See, Cialan, you going over people's head.
No, okay? This is a simple question. No,
Michelle, hold on. What I want to say to the caller. What I want to say to the caller.
Nah, look here. You know what? It sounds like you bug. It's only hit dog.
What I want to say to the caller is that because the first time you heard about this, was through Lincoln Bain does not mean that Lincoln Bain was the first person to talk about this. You just didn't hear of other people when they
I know. You know what? You're absolutely correct. But here's the thing, right? Y'all might have spoken about it within yourself. Lincoln being brought it to the Bahamian people's attention of what we have as natural resources and what we have as a country, as a nation. A renewable source of aragonite. So don't talk about, oh, if you break off the branch here and you break off the branch here, then you ain't gonna have no tree. All the fruits could be gone. Listen, we have a renewable source of seagrass, renewable source of aragonite. So that man don't try to act as if y'all don't can't give the Bahamian nothing. Because y'all don't want to give the Bahamian nothing. Y'all want to stone
this man has no
people.
understanding.
Just so Lincoln being said about Brave, he wanna, if you give the people the power, they're not gonna need you no more. And that is what that's the mentality y'all thinking.
Okay, caller. Thank you so
Empower
much.
us. Empower us.
Okay.
Michelle, see, I only had a simple question for him, you know. Stromatolites are the oldest natural resources in the Bahamas that possibly have more value than all of our other natural resources, right? If you understand what it is, it's the oldest living organism on the planet. It's where all life supposed to start. It's in the Bahamas, right? And the question then becomes is, I wonder, that has no value because nobody ever talks about it. People only talk about what I and others have said because they do not know the other 120 different things that has equal value. And when they talk about it, they talk about it in context. And so again, everybody is equal, right? That's their concept. Let's just divide up everything. My question is, if there is no Bahamas, the very product we're arguing about is necessary to preserve the Bahamas. And I'm simply saying,
we get that point. We get that point.
Now let's go back to Mr. Brave Davis. What Brave Davis did is garbage. And what any other leadership promised to you is garbage juice. Okay? I'm saying to you, go and look at all the sovereign funds you're talking about and answer, does any of the sovereign fund in the world works the way your current leader or promised leader works? It doesn't. It doesn't economically work in the way they say. And so the problem is that we saying things because we're appealing to the desperateness of a people. And I'm saying to you, if we are in the same boat and we're securing the same boat so that we can all have equity, not equality, equity in this product, I say then let's have that conversation. We don't need a politician 5-year celebrity, including any new one to come in, to tell us how to live and how we're going to do whatever. Because those are promises, comfort to fools. I'm saying to you is a sovereign wealth fund will first seek to preserve the Bahamas so we could remain being Bahamians. At the same time, will make life easier equitably for all Bahamians. Not giving you cash. Because my question is this. I'm simply says this. Let's divide the money equally to everybody. And then as a government, I must tax you 80% to build the hospitals, to build the schools, to build the roads. I have to tax you. I give you $100,000 and I say to you, the only way to save the Bahamas, I got to tax you $150,000. Now what?
We got to take a break. We got to take a... Clearly, this was only the introduction to this conversation.
No, I want you to notice that you have the same small group of people, a cult of misinformation that is married to this information. We have 40,000 people. The other 3,998 actually want the truth.
Okay, we can't do nothing unless we pay our bills. So okay. I got to take a commercial break. All right. And hopefully on the next time we discuss this, because clearly we have to, we just touching the surface. Hopefully those other gentlemen that I had invited to be here today will be able to be there for that show, so because they too have some great insight into this.
No, but what you have to do is invite leaders of political party who are promising that this is a tool for economic development.
I ain't to know politics, because politics and politicians have gotten us into the place where we are now. So I'm not trying to come to this discussion from no political point of view. Ain't nobody no time for that. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we only got time to wrap this up. Trust me, this was just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to go deeper, but we got to take a break. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Blood sugar levels play a key role in your appetite, weight gain, and overall health. When you have a blood sugar spike, you can feel confused, dizzy, and even have increased cravings. Eating carbohydrates, sugary or fatty foods, and not exercising can all cause blood sugar spikes. But now you have help in managing blood sugar levels. Sweeties by Longevity was designed to help support healthy blood sugar levels, so you can power through your day. It's a synergistic blend of minerals, herbs, and nutrients that have been proven to support healthy blood sugar levels. Sweeties includes chromium, an essential trace mineral that's known for its contribution to healthy blood sugar levels and improved metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Cinnamon bark has been included for its naturally occurring antioxidants and support of a healthy heart. And we've even added gymnema. It's been used in Ayurveda for centuries to help promote healthy blood sugar. All the ingredients in Sweeties work together to give the best support available for blood sugar control. Sweeties, the blood sugar support supplement from Longevity that helps control cravings and manage blood sugar levels through your day. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted loud.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Even everyday exercise can lead to wear and tear on your body. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain due to damaged joints or connective tissue. Ultimate Glucogel by Longevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits for the brain, skin, and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. Natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
$9.5.
Alan and I would give you 30 seconds, but it's already 4
15
o'clock.
seconds.
And
Yeah,
I know you
15
ain't no
seconds.
time.
15 seconds. Every single year, we have a value in the Bahamas of our natural resources is worth $77 trillion. Every single year, we lose $1 trillion. In 77 years, we will have zero. And so every single year, we lose $1 trillion in value. I'm saying to the Bahamians, what Brave Davis done is garbage. What has been promised so far by other political leaders is garbage juice. Let's have a conversation in the proper context of maximizing our use for the benefits of Bahamians. And we can have a further conversation on this
Okay.
show and other places.
That's your time. That's your time. It's after 4 o'clock. Gotta go. Thank you so much. I promise there will be a part 2 and 3 and 4, because clearly we need to get to the bottom of this and do it in such a way that everybody understands exactly what happens, what can happen, what will happen as it relates to our carbon credits. I think everybody agrees, or many people feel that the current structure as being presented is not sustainable. It's not amenable to many Bahamians who do not have any trust within the government to manage this. That is why I think a lot of people are at arms, or up in arms, I should say, over this. And the fact that they being promised a couple of dollars along the way, that could, incentivize plenty of people. But anyway, that's another show. It's 4:01. I got to get off the air. Thank you so much for Seattle for being here. And to all of you who joined in the show today. I will let you guys know when part two will be based on the schedule of those other gentlemen that I was trying to get on who weren't available for today. Trust me, we're going to talk about this some more because we haven't scratched the surface. Until then, tomorrow, open line show where we talk about the week that was. Anything you guys want to talk about, that's tomorrow. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys. Take care.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those